right, let's find out some more about George Washington Carver. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. You can't see it right now, but my dog is like jumping on me because she sees I have something in my hand and she wants it, but she can't have it. So I'm going to try to keep it away from her and keep it up here. So page 377 in your history books. 377. No, ma'am, can't have this. Professor Carver. So remember, I want to review, but I don't want to take too long. This is already later today. No, ma'am. Longer. So we will review maybe tomorrow or later on with some things. But remember where George Washington came from, or George Washington Carver came from, whose houses he was at, which uncles and aunts, what he did to help him get through school, all of those different things. Study back through those each time because you never know when you're going to need to recall those facts. So be prepared for that. But today we're going with Professor Carver because remember, somebody asked him, Booker T. Washington asked him to come and teach at Tuskegee Institute, and he accepted. When George Washington Carver arrived at Tuskegee, Booker T. Washington greeted him and showed him around the school. You will be the director of agriculture, Mr. Carver. You will teach these students the right way to farm. Perhaps Professor Carver was a little discouraged when he found out he had only 13 students. Now, I mean, for us, that's good, 13, 14, 15. But for him in a college, when there's hundreds and thousands of kids, to have 13, how come there's not more kids? There were hundreds of other students at Tuskegee, but most of them felt that farming was uninteresting. At that time, farms in the South grew mostly just cotton. But his students soon learned that farming did not just mean growing cotton. If that's all I'm going to do, I'm going to find something else because I'm tired of just growing cotton. Some vegetables like peas and peanuts help the soil. If cotton is grown all the time on the same soil, the soil will soon be too poor to grow anything, said Professor Carver. And that is a true fact. Cotton, it takes minerals out of the soil, but if you grow other things, that will help to put minerals back into the soil. And if you remember when we talked about our plants way back in science in the beginning, we said that there are plants that take nutrients out of the soil and plants that put nutrients back in. And peas and peanuts would help to do that. More and more students joined his class. They learned how to help the soil. They learned how to grow sweet potatoes and other vegetables instead of only cotton. That's why I got my little sweet potato here that lady keeps trying to get. His students were learning, but what about the thousands of Southern farmers who were only growing cotton? Yeah, the students at Tuskegee were learning this. That's great, but there's a whole bunch of guys out there that are just growing cotton. Professor Carver traveled around visiting farmers. He found many of them growing cotton right up to the door of their cabins. Don't sin against the land, he told them. Grow vegetables, grow sweet potatoes and peanuts. Professor Carver's workshop, and let me just give a bonus fact first. It says Thomas Edison once offered George Washington Carver over $100,000 a year to work for him, but Mr. Carver was more interested in people than in money. He knew he was where he needed to be at Tuskegee and down in the South, helping these farmers to be able to farm properly. Isn't that crazy to think about? $100,000 a year back then. A lot of money. Professor Carver had a workshop where he did experiments. And look at that picture. Do you see that that's real picture? This is what I love about the end of our book, because we're into the time where pictures were around. This is an actual picture, and it says you can see him. He's second from the right. So there's the little boy, the young man right on the right with the little stripes on his pants, and right next to him is the actual George Washington Carver, Professor Carver, in their chemistry lab at Tuskegee Institute. So he began to experiment with the sweet potato and the peanut. He discovered many uses for the sweet potato. Now, when I look at this sweet potato, I bought it because I just saw the other day online somebody actually sorry, I was looking at the time. Somebody was actually making pancakes, sweet potato pancakes, and I thought, that looks delicious. I'm gonna get sweet potatoes so I can make sweet potato pancakes, and I made them and they were delicious. I love sweet potato pie. It's the best pie out there. So I think, okay, pie, I can now make pancakes. I also bought some sweet potatoes because I like to make sweet potato chips, and there's sweet potato fries. But when I look at a sweet potato, that's about it. I'm like, oh, and then you can eat it by itself with a little bit of cinnamon sugar. It's really good. So either eating it by itself or making it into a pie or pancake or chip or fry. So I can think of 5 ways to eat a sweet potato. But George Washington Carver, he looked at the sweet potato and he decided, oh, I can make a flour from the sweet potato to make bread. He also made vinegar from the sweet potato. Those were only 2 of the 118 uses that he found for the sweet potato. He looked at this and he's like, I think I can do 118 different things with this. We can make it into flour, we can make it into vinegar, we can make it into this, we can make it into that. A sweet potato. But that's because this young boy, this man that was a young boy before, was like, I think God has a plan for everything he made. Lord, show me your plan for all the things that you made. And God showed him 118 things he could do with a sweet potato. Crazy. The peanut amazed him. Asking for God's help, he found 300 uses for the peanut. And the peanut's even smaller than a sweet potato. And he looked at the peanut and he's like, I think we could do this, and I think we could do this, and I'm going to milk it, and I'm going to dust it, and I'm going to flour it, and I'm going to make it into shampoo from peanuts, ink that you put in a pen, rubbing oil, metal polish, peanut oil, peanut milk, peanut cream, and peanut cheese were just a few of the uses he found for the peanut. Let me see if I can make this peanut into cheese. What? How? What? This man had an amazing mind that God gave him. Because of his amazing inventions, George Washington Carver received several awards, including the Royal Society of Arts Award from London. This award is given to people who provide practical scientific solutions to a problem. And that's one of the things that definitely George Washington Carver did. A plan for everything. Little by little, farmers in the South changed their minds about growing only cotton. Peanuts became their next choice. At first, they were thinking, there's not enough people to eat the peanuts if we grow a ton of peanuts. So when George Washington Carver was like, well, we could put it in shampoo, and we could put it in ink, and we can make some peanut cream and butter and oil and this and that from it. Now people are like, oh, we need peanuts. Does anybody have enough peanuts? Oh, so now we can make them, and because they're put in more things instead of just people eating them and popping them in their mouth. Peanuts became their next choice. Then Professor Carver told them about the soybean. So not only the sweet potato, not only the peanut, but also the little soybean. From the soybean, they could get milk and oil. Soy milk? Have we ever heard of that and seen that? Okay. Professor Carver did not stop. As he began to study each new plant, he would ask, God, you have a plan for this plant. Show it to me. Wow. I would never think that when I think about plants. Lord, you have a plan for the plant. Show me what the plan is. Mr. Carver was glad that he knew God's plan for his own life. He was helping farmers in the South by exploring a part of God's world. Stop and think. God has a plan for each plant that grows, each raindrop that falls, and each ray of sun that warms a cold morning. He has a plan for everything he has made. God chose George Washington Carver to discover his plans for some of his plants. How much more of God's world there is for us to explore. How exciting is that? Perhaps God will choose you to find out his plan for something else he has made. Maybe you're going to be a one that's going to find a cure for something that nobody else has found. Maybe you're going to be the one that's going to find a way to get places quicker. You never know. You have to keep that curious mind and want to desire to learn and know more things. That's really important. So this, I know, is not going to be for everybody. One other bonus fact really quickly. People mistakenly credit George Washington Carver with inventing peanut butter, but he did not. In 1895, a gentleman by the name of Dr. John Harvey Kellogg patented the process for creating peanut butter. He was also the man who formed the Kellogg's breakfast cereal company. So if you've ever bought Kellogg's cereal, I think Rice Krispies is Kellogg's, and there's a couple other Kellogg's cereals. They used to have Corn Flakes. I don't know if they still do. Frosted Flakes. Kellogg's breakfast cereal company, he's the one that actually invented peanut butter. So not George Washington Carver, but he did come up with the cream and the oil and the whatever, milk and all of the other things, the polish and all of that kind of thing. But so this might not be for some, but this is just a bonus idea for home and enrichment activity that you can do. Place 2 cups roasted salted peanuts in a food processor with a standard blade. Blend on high for about 4 minutes. Then provide pretzel sticks so that you can have that yummy homemade peanut butter. That's it. Just take 2 cups of roasted salted peanuts, put it in a food processor with a good standard blend blade, let it go for 4 minutes, and then you'll have your own peanut butter. So just something, and I know some of you can't do that because you've got family and friends that are allergic, so that's totally fine, but just an idea. So page 380 is your comprehension check. I'm not going to go over it with you for time's sake, but tomorrow we will go back through this and make sure that we get all these answers correct. So look at the answers, think about them carefully, and write them in there, and then we will grade it and not grade it, but we'll correct it tomorrow. All right? All right, so remember the sweet potato, and now I got to go put this back on the counter so lady can't even look at it and smell it and try to get at it. But remember the sweet potato and the peanut and the soybean, George Washington Carver and all the wonderful things that he did. I hope you enjoyed learning about him as much as I enjoyed teaching about him. All right, have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you for health, and then, because we have a quiz, and then I'll read, and then we'll be done for our day. All right, see you soon.